presenting the thought leaders of today.
It's the Business Builders Show with Marty Wolf.
Welcome back to the Business Builders Show on the Biz Talk Radio Network. I'm your host, Marty Wolf, and I have a very special guest with me today. Stephen Lynch is with me this morning. Good morning, Stephen.
Hello, Marty. It's great to be here.
Stephen Lynch is the head of strategy and consulting at a company called Resultscom. Stephen is the author of the award-winning book, Business Execution for Results, a practical guide for leaders of small to mid-sized firms. His book was judged as Best Management Book in the United States of America's 2014 Small Business Book Awards. And as a side note, I have shared this book with many, many entrepreneurs. I love this book. That's why I'm so thrilled that Stephen Lynch is with us. Now, let me say a couple other things. Stephen has had articles published in The Economist and writes a weekly email newsletter that has over 40,000 business leader subscribers across the globe. Stephen, again, welcome to the Business Builders Show.
I'm thrilled to be here, Marty.
We're going to talk about how to create a compelling future vision for your company. But before we get into that, give me the overview of Results.com. What do you do there?
Well, yeah, for those who are not familiar with Results.com, we started out in New Zealand, where I'm originally from, some 20 years ago. And for most of our history, we were a management consulting firm, helping small to medium-sized businesses to create their strategic plans and then supporting them to execute their strategic plans. And along the way, we developed a software product to help our clients track the results of the work we were doing with them. And a couple of years ago, we made the decision to actually transform our company to become a software firm. And that's what we are now. We're a software firm that uses our consulting expertise to support our software, which is a management dashboard software product.
Excellent.
And I guess I've got the rare privilege these days of being able to observe thousands of our client firms working on their strategies, working on their goals, and I get to see what works and what doesn't in the real world over a large number of business cases. And from there, I try to identify the best practices of our most successful firms.
Great. So we want to talk about creating a compelling future vision for your company. So what do you think are the main ingredients that can help you create a compelling company vision?
Yeah, the three major elements that go into a vision from our perspective, there's the what, the why, and the who. Now, firstly, the what is the long-term goal for your business? Now, before you can create a strategy and execute your strategy, you need some sort of vision for what you want your business or organization to ultimately become. And that means you need some sort of long-term goal. So you first of all need to get clear on what is it that you want to achieve? And it needs to be a meaningful and compelling goal, a goal that inspires you and all of your people. Secondly, there's the why, which is your core purpose. You need to give your people a compelling reason why, a good reason to work for your company beyond simply earning money. And thirdly, the who, your core values. You need to be very clear about who you need to be in terms of the rules for behavior for everyone who's going to work for you. And you need people who share the same core values as you, people you can count on to behave in the same way when the going gets tough. So your vision comprises those three things, what, why, and who. And I'm happy to share with you some best practices around each of those three elements with you today, if you like.
I'd be delighted, but I'd like to ask you this question. Long-term vision, maybe it's going to be part of what you're going to talk about. You know, has that changed over the years? What people consider a long-term vision? Is that 6 months, 2 years, 10 years? What, in your opinion, what would you consider a long-term vision?
Yeah, a good question. When I look at, works like Jim Collins' Good to Great, and he talks about big, hairy, audacious goals, or BHAGs,
right,
being sort of 10 to 25 years into the future. In my experience, most companies struggle with that sort of time frame, but I think they can conceptualize 5 years. That's a little bit easier to conceptualize, and from there they're able to actually sort of project what their industry is likely to look like at that point in time, and make some intelligent strategic bets around what sort of moves they need to make to set themselves up for success over that time frame.
Excellent. So you have some ideas in terms of the three categories of what, why, who, and I think you just call them best practices. So
yeah, and that's the thing. We've taught these things for a number of years, and I guess now I get the opportunity to look at a large number of businesses and see what do the most successful businesses do of our client firms at Results.com. And in terms of the why, what, which is, call it your big, hairy, audacious goal or your BHAG if you like. To me, when you set a long-term business goal, it's a lot like being a mountain climber. It's about picking a worthy mountain that you want to climb. And the thing for me that separates great mountain climbers from average mountain climbers, and also great companies from average companies, it's the mountain you choose to climb. And I like that term, big, hairy, audacious goals, from Jim Collins, or BHAG for short. And, Jim Collins gives us that classic example of President John F. Kennedy's man on the moon goal.
Sure.
I believe this nation should commit itself to achieving the goal before the decade is out of landing a man on the moon and returning him safely back to the earth. It was a great example of a long-term, compelling goal. It was huge, and no one at the time had any idea of all of the things that need to be done in order to reach it. And of course, we know JFK did not live to see that goal realized, but that's the power of setting a compelling long-term goal. It can outlive the current leadership.
Yeah, choose the mountain. Choose the mountain that you want to climb.
That's the one, and it needs to be a mountain that everyone looks at and think, "Wow, I want to be a part of this journey." So it's not something that just appeals to the founder or business leader. It's something that you can engage everyone in, and everyone looks at that mountain and goes, "Yep, that's what I want to spend the next 5 years of my life doing."
Yeah, Stephen. We talk a lot about on this show, and I read a lot about the purpose-driven company, and they're experiencing some success. I think that ties into what you're talking about, does it not?
It absolutely does. That's, I guess, about getting clear on, why are we going to climb this mountain in the first place? So there's the what, that's the mountain, the why are we doing this? And both elements are absolutely key. You are right. Yeah,
let's go a little deeper on the why. I mean, you have some other thoughts on the why you're doing it?
Yeah, and that's something that we see too is that companies that are very successful, they get clear on not only the mountain they want to climb, but why they want to climb this mountain at all, and it's a reason for doing what you do beyond simply earning a paycheck.
Yeah.
I mean, money's important. Don't get me wrong, but it's what we call a hygiene factor. It can satisfy you, but beyond a certain point, it won't motivate you further. So money is important, but it's not enough, and people want to work for something beyond just money, and having a core purpose is having a compelling reason why you do what you do, why you want to climb this mountain.
Yeah.
And the classic example I often share is the story of the bricklayers toiling away on a construction site, and a passerby asks each bricklayer, "What are you doing?" And the first one says, "I'm laying bricks." And the second one says, "Well, I'm building a brick wall." And the third one, his eyes lights up and he says, "I'm helping to build a great cathedral."
Yeah.
Now, all three of those guys are doing the exact same job, but one of them's got a compelling reason why. They know why they're doing what they're doing beyond simply what it is that they're doing on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
And if you can capture that, people will put more energy into their work. They'll put their hearts and their minds into the job.
Absolutely. We only have a minute left of this particular part of the interview. You will be coming back, but in a minute or less, and this is unfair, but is the same thing applied to small businesses as well to bigger businesses, the same thought process?
Yeah, absolutely, and often it's the founder's story that can capture people in this regard. Why did the founder start this business? There was something that they could see. There was a wrong that they wanted to put right. There was something that they see that could have been done better, and that's why they started this company. And sometimes your core purpose, your compelling reason why, is to be found in the founder's story.
Very, very, very interesting. Yeah, so it applies no matter what size business you are. If you're a startup, if you're a growing business, or wherever you're at. So we need to take a short break. You are listening to the Business Builders Show on the Biz Talk Radio Network. My special guest is Stephen Lynch, and his company is Results.com. Don't go away. We'll be right back after this short message.
Bringing the business classroom to you. It's the Business Builders Show with Marty Wolf. Informing, educating, and encouraging. The Business Builders Show with Marty Wolf.
Welcome back to the Business Builders Show. I'm your host, Marty Wolf, and you are on the Biz Talk Radio Network. My special guest is Stephen Lynch, and his company is Results.com. Stephen, is that the best way to connect with you? Go to that website?
It's one of the easiest URLs to remember, yes.
It is. It's brilliant marketing on your part, Results.com. We're talking about how to create a compelling future vision for your company. And we talked about the what part of that, the why part of that. Let's talk about, and what do you mean by the who part of that? Talk to me.
with regards to who, I'm talking about your core values. And in simple terms, your core values are the behaviors that you expect from all of your people, regardless of what role they perform or what results they're accountable for. And core values are clear statements of how you expect every person in your company to act. But I guess here's the catch. Simply writing down some rules for behavior and posting them on a wall, that doesn't work. And what I see with our most successful client firms is that the core values must be unique to your company and your culture. And many companies I see, they just use some vague, generic, aspirational words and statements. And generic things don't create a culture. Things like honesty, integrity, safety, teamwork, they're all nice things, but if your core values look like everyone else's, I suggest you will struggle to create a powerful culture that will power you towards the achievement of your vision. And what you need is real core values. And what I mean by that are specific, meaningful descriptions of the behaviors that make your company unique and drive the decisions of all of your people every day. And the most successful companies I see, they've got really quirky core values. And the quirkier they are, the stronger the culture they seem to have. And there's a great example that I often share, and it's one of our client firms. They're a third-generation painting and interior decorating firm. They've been in business for more than 100 years now, and they're by far and away the market leaders in their city. And one of their core values is 3 coats of paint means 3 coats of paint.
I love it.
And it makes it really obvious. Imagine you're a 15-year-old, you've just left school, and you've just joined this painting firm. It's your first job. When you see core values expressed in words like that, 3 coats of paint means 3 coats of paint. You know exactly what sort of behavior is expected of you. It's not some generic and ambiguous term like integrity. It's 3 coats of paint means 3 coats of paint.
Wow. That's how you engage employees to want to do more.
And all their core values look like that. And they've got, half a dozen of them. And our most successful companies, they've got really quirky core values expressed in words that their people use and expressed in ways that people absolutely get it. And they give you a clear indication of what the culture is like at that company as well.
Yeah. Company culture. So give me some more thoughts, if you have some more, and I'm sure you do, some keys or thoughts on how you can create an enduring company culture, one that will outlive, like, for instance, the owner's involvement. A lot of companies that you and I work with, it started with one founder or the CEO. And so how can you have any thoughts on how we can build an enduring company culture?
Yeah, it's nailing those core values first of all, and then making sure that they become part of the company's DNA. And that means incorporating them in all of your human resources processes to start with, your hiring, performance appraisal, and even firing. But the best way we've found to actually bring core values to life is to make them a part of your weekly team meeting agenda. And we do this, and our client firms do this as well, is that the last item on your meeting agenda is everyone has to share a brief story of where someone on the team demonstrated one of the core values in the previous week.
Love it.
It's a way of forcing people to A, know what they are, and B, look for examples of people demonstrating those behaviors in the company. And if you make it a compulsory agenda item, you'll find that people start to know your core values, they look for people doing things right, and you're acknowledging and celebrating people doing things right as well.
Wow, that's worth the price of admission right there. That was solid. It was all solid, but that was terrific. Let's move into something else that some owners, business owners, especially smaller businesses, their eyes glass over a little bit when they hear the word strategic planning. What are you seeing as some challenges or mistakes that some smaller or mid-sized businesses make in their strategic planning?
Yeah, they get the most common mistake I see is that they confuse goal setting with strategy, and goal setting is not strategy. And yes, goal setting is important, but just doing an exercise in forecasting and setting goals for the future, that's not strategy. And yes, we probably all want to grow our businesses, but growth's not a strategy. We probably want to improve the quality of what we do, but quality improvement's not strategy either. We probably want to be more efficient, but efficiency and finding cost savings, no, that's not strategy either. And we probably want to be better than our competitors, but beating our competitors is not strategy either. And people say, well, what is strategy then? And I say it's about going through a disciplined thought process and getting a thorough understanding of how your industry is likely to evolve and play out in the coming years, and getting very clear on the few pivotal strategic moves that your company needs to make in order to position yourself for future success.
Why do you think they struggle with strategic planning?
It's because they're probably focused on the short term. You've got a current business model, an operating model, and most people think, well, what can I do to improve what is? And I get that, and most people understand that. You've got to improve what is. But strategic planning, you need to balance the short term with the long term. You need to improve what is, yes, but you also need to think about what is it we need to become here, and also focus time and attention on creating what will be. And sometimes that means forgetting the past and reshaping your business so that you can compete more effectively in the future. And that's the great challenge for business leaders, to keep those two opposing concepts in mind whilst you're operating your business on a day-to-day basis. Improving what is, but also thinking, what do we need to create here? What do we need to become in the future in order to be successful?
Some of your clients, what have you seen in addition to what you've already mentioned of the painting company, I guess? What is working well that you're experiencing? And you have, like you say, lots of clients using your software company. What are you seeing as successes, or what are you energized about in terms of small business in the future?
I think, and I'll go back to the start. Get clear on what you want to achieve. What's the mountain you want to climb? Then get clear on, well, what route are we going to take to climb that mountain? Let's call that your strategy. But then it's just chunking it down into smaller steps. What can we get done this quarter that is going to move our business forward? And keeping it to a small number of things that you're going to focus on in any given quarter. And we like to restrict people to 3 things only. Any more than 3 things, no. What are the top 3 things you're going to get done in the next 90 days that are going to move your business forward and help you climb that mountain? And getting clear on those 3 things and just focusing on those 3 things and making sure that each and every week you get clear on what's the one thing we can do this week to move each of these projects forward another nudge. And just chunking it down like that seems to be the most effective way to execute strategy.
Stephen, are you optimistic about the future for small business?
Yes, for those who have given thought to what their industry is going to look like in years to come.
Yeah, they have to take some action.
They do, and if you just sit there and hope that you can react to the changes that are coming down the pike, I wouldn't want to be you. Yeah. But if you're thinking very carefully about what are all the different forces that could impact how our industry is likely to play out, and you get out ahead of those forces and make some wise strategic bets around the things that you can do to position your firm for success, not only now, but next year and in years to come. Those are the companies that I have a lot of faith in.
And it takes hard work. I mean, this doesn't happen by accident, as you've indicating. We have time, but I want to make sure that people know who we're speaking with. Stephen Lynch, his company is Resultscom. I want to give a huge shout out for his book, and his book is called Business Execution for Results, a practical guide for leaders of small to mid-sized firms. I can't leave this interview, Stephen, so forgive me for this because I'm not sure if you want to go down this road. The beginning of the book, you have an interesting couple of stories. You were into weightlifting. Tell me about your experience there and how that you connected that to your business. And we've got like a couple minutes, but I found that fascinating.
Yeah, being a competitive bodybuilder, it taught me a lot about goal setting, about getting very clear on the goal and what it is that you needed to get there, and chunking it down into what you needed to do on a daily basis even. What do I need to do today that's going to help move me toward that goal? And I apply those lessons in business, and they've served me well, getting very clear on the mountain you want to climb, getting very clear on what strategy you're going to adopt in order to climb that mountain. Yep. But then chunking it down into short-term steps that are going to move you towards the achievement of that goal. And it does take discipline, just as it does in business. It's a disciplined process that you have to go through. It's disciplined execution that you need to focus on every day, every week, every month, every quarter. But discipline has been the key to my success, both in my personal life and in business.
And you were a champion at that.
I was Mr. New Zealand once upon a time, yes.
So we have Mr. New Zealand on the phone here right now. Well, was, right?
Was, yes.
Excellent. Okay, people want to learn more about Results.com. How could they log on? Is there a way to get a demo or something? How would they do that?
Yes, if you go to the Results.com website and request a demo, one of our team will take you through the software. And think of it as being like giving you transparency around what's happening in your business right now. What are we working on in terms of our goals? What's happening in terms of the numbers that we need to track? Which parts of the business are working well? Which parts of the business need my attention and support? And it's giving you that visibility and aligning and focusing everyone in your team on what the company needs to do in order to climb your mountain.
So you can get that demo by going to Results.com. And we don't have time to talk about a special offer that Stephen wants to offer our listeners, and I'll tell you about that in the next part of the show, so stay with us. We've been speaking with Stephen Lynch of Results.com on the Biz Talk Radio Network.
Presenting the thought leaders of today.
It's the Business Builders Show with Marty Wolf.